Now. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of What's Happening in Travel. I am here with my buddy,
Drew,
and I am Kerwin. And this is episode 76, and we're recording, April 3rd. Wow, already it's April.
we're about 10 days late because
Yeah,
of scheduling issues.
but you know what's interesting? That we're also coming up on our anniversary. I think
When was that, by the way? When is that?
April 24th.
You're kidding me.
No.
Really? Okay.
April 24th, yeah.
Wow,
So
it's been a year.
yeah, that's pretty cool. All right, so what do you have for your background?
I have an old picture actually of a KLM MD-11. I think it was taking off from Curacao, somewhere in the Caribbean.
Oh, they were on the other side. Neat.
So
yeah, I guess we'll never ever see an MD-11 from KLM taking off there ever again, right?
Yep.
And I have a picture of I think it's the Finnish opera. It's not the Opera House. It's a National Theatre, I think, in Finland. Because we have a story about Finland coming up, or Finnair coming up.
In Helsinki, right?
Yeah, this is in Helsinki, and it was during. It was during the winter when I'd gone.
Okay.
Yeah. And I can't remember. But you went on this trip with me when we went.
I
can't remember.
Don't remember. I think so. I think we were there together once.
I think so too. Yeah, it's a long time ago. But so yeah, just showing you a different part of. I'm going through my old hard drives and pulling up all these old pictures. I'm like, oh, I'll use that one. All right, so lots been going on. I guess the first thing we'll talk about is the CDC came out with an update yesterday, talking about traveling.
CDC, of course, is the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention here in the US.
Yes, so these are kind of the guys that
I guess we should explain that, right, for any foreign listeners.
Dude, if you're alive and you don't know who the CDC is, oh, come on. I'm just kidding. Wait, you just cut out.
How would someone outside the US know what the CDC or who the CDC is, right?
Well, because they're actually the place that takes care of this worldwide. They are based in the United States, but they take care of it worldwide.
Do they really?
Uh-huh. Yeah, so they set up all
the
they set up all the rules and the regulations and all that kind of stuff. And
worldwide? Don't other countries have their own? Okay, I know we're getting hopelessly sidetracked again.
No. Hopelessly sidetracked is good. No, I don't think. I mean, I would think other countries do something, but I mean, that's why they're the Center for the Disease Control. I mean,
okay.
Yeah, they have all that. They have all the data and all the stuff that comes out. I would never want to go into one of their labs because they probably have some really bad things in their labs. Because I guess they're testing stuff and trying to figure things out. But that's the place. It's based in Atlanta, and they normally, I mean, I guess of course the U.S. jurisdiction, but they've come out and said, I should probably read the exact thing that they say.
But it's safe for fully vaccinated travelers to fly. But the thing is, they never specified what the exact definition of a fully vaccinated passenger is. No, they have not.
Yes,
not in public TV broadcasts.
No, they have. Hang on, I'm gonna find it for you. So a fully vaccinated person, and this is actually on the CDC.gov website.
Okay, who goes to that? Which average person goes to that?
Well, but if you want to find out the definition, you have to. And I did a story on it yesterday, and I actually linked to it. So it says, people are considered fully vaccinated 2 weeks after their second dose.
Exactly. That's what they should have specified on the news. At least.
Well, they have a link to it. So here's the thing. And I know exactly what you're talking about too, right? I heard a lot of people quoting it and putting it in the news and stuff like that, and they're not explaining what fully vaccinated is.
Exactly. And you would
And
think
so,
they would know. All these CBS, NBC, ABC, CNN, they
people,
don't specify.
because that's the piece of the news that nobody cares about, right?
But it's really important, though.
It's very important. Because wait, so it's not done. So it's 2 weeks after your second dose in a 2-dose series, if you're taking Pfizer or Moderna or AstraZeneca, but it's really, they didn't mention AstraZeneca in here. It just says Pfizer or Moderna, because I think it's different for AstraZeneca. But I'm not a doctor, so I don't know. So
But see, AstraZeneca hasn't been approved here yet.
Yet, right. So this says it's 2 weeks after a single dose vaccine, such as Johnson & Johnson Janssen vaccine, which is the only single dose that we have.
Yeah.
Now, this is quite interesting, right? Because this only talks about Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson. So apparently, if you have anything else, they don't really care.
So see, this is not really the CDC for the world.
But it is. But come, dude, you know how this works. Like, what
if it doesn't belong in the US, no one cares.
You expect to see the Russian and the Chinese vaccine?
That's exactly right. Or the Indian one.
Even AstraZeneca, right?
And the Cuban one.
Oh, the Cuban, exactly. And one thing to remember is that these 3 vaccines, they've been approved for what's the emergency use? Is what it is.
Yeah.
So they're not approved as normal drugs are approved.
But all of them. I mean, even AstraZeneca is going to be approved on an emergency.
So they're all under the thing. So if you've taken one of those vaccines, Pfizer or Moderna, you have
the final shot, and you have to wait 2 weeks.
2 weeks after the final shot. And for Johnson & Johnson, it's only 1 shot, so you only wait 2 weeks after. Then you're fully vaccinated. So if you're fully vaccinated, then you can do all this stuff. It says because what the studies they have shown that the fully vaccinated travelers are less likely to get and spread COVID-19. So people who are fully vaccinated with an FDA authorized vaccine can travel safely within the United States. Fully vaccinated travelers do not need to get tested before or after travel unless their destination requires it. This means that if you are going to somewhere in the US and they require you to get vaccinated
or abroad
or tested, well, this is just domestic US is talking about.
Okay.
First, and then it says fully vaccinated travelers do not need to self-quarantine because some states do have self-quarantine.
But you still have to wear a mask.
Yes. So fully vaccinated travelers should still follow CDC's recommendations for traveling safely, including wear a mask over your nose and mouth. And yesterday I was out and I saw people just wearing it over their bottom lip, which is a real new one for me. Stay 6 feet from others and avoid crowds. Wash your hands often or use hand sanitizer. International travel. Pay close attention to the situation at your international destination before traveling outside the US. So what that means is you should still go to the website and check and see what is it that destination requires. So if that destination requires you to take a COVID test, you're gonna have to take it whether you're vaccinated or not, because that's the requirement of their destination. So,
and we should also mention that all non-essential travel is discouraged. But that clearly is not.
It is, but interestingly enough, this part of it didn't say that. But when you go to the, if you're in the US and you go to travel.state.gov, or if you actually go to your country's website that talks about COVID, they will all say that only essential travel should be done. But then it says you do not need to get tested before leaving the United States unless your destination requires it. You still need it
before you return to the US.
Yes. Well.
Yeah, you do. You need to have a negative PCR test
So,
before you return to the US.
okay, yes.
That I know.
You still need to show a negative test result or documentation of recovery from COVID-19 before boarding a flight to the US.
Yeah.
You should still get tested 3 to 5 days after international travel, and you do not need to self-quarantine after arriving in the US.
Yeah.
So those are the details on the domestic and the international side.
But it's a big
So
change, though.
it is because they're getting more, I guess, results or more.
Air travel is
data.
becoming more normalized.
But that doesn't mean people need to go crazy. They still need to check the requirements of wherever you need to go.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Well, I can bring the horse to water, but I can't make them drink it, Kusha. When they're thirsty, they'll drink it. But for now, I don't know if they're thirsty enough. So that's what we have from the CDC. And we just report the news. We don't make the news. Our next story, our next update we had is that we've been talking about 2 Canadian airlines trying to get together. This has been going on since 2019. And yesterday there was news. What happened?
So this is between Air Canada and Air Transat.
Mm-hmm.
Air Transat is a much, much smaller, very leisure, destination-focused airline. And Air Canada essentially bought them, took them over in 2020. And they would be a separate unit within Air Canada and distinct from Air Canada Rouge, which is the Air Canada equivalent of Air Transat.
Mm-hmm.
And they needed antitrust approval from the Canadians and also from the Europeans.
So I never got why they needed it from the Europeans.
Because Air Transat and Air Canada Rouge, they fly to European destinations, and Air Canada as well.
So from the entire EU? So that means they can fly to the UK.
So yes, they can. It's the same reason why the Asiana and Korean Air deal has been put on hold, but I'm getting ahead of myself.
That's all right.
So very surprisingly, according to Air Canada, who had apparently resigned themselves to the deal failing, but the Canadian government came through and approved the merger.
Okay.
Despite the objections of WestJet, which is the other Canadian competitor, the equivalent Canadian competitor. But the European Union said no. So that essentially scuppered the deal. And was it yesterday or day before yesterday when they officially divorced? And Air Canada actually had to pay Air Transat.
It's a part of those weird clauses that they usually have in those deals.
It wasn't like hundreds of millions. It was like, I think, between 10 and 15 million Canadian dollars.
That's the poison pill thing. Is that what they call it or something like that?
No.
Oh, okay.
So Air Transat is single and ready to mingle again. Now, I don't know if WestJet will make a play for them or not, but
they're just going to crumble.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. They're just going to crumble, and then someone's going to buy the assets at the end. And then those EU people are going to be like, oh, okay. Because now they can't stop it because it's you're buying something that's not worth anything. Yeah.
But yeah, Air Transat's in trouble, as is actually most non-state airlines, because they don't have the support and the traffic to sustain their revenues.
Yeah, that's just a shame.
So,
well, WestJet's happy, so
yeah.
But yeah, so, I don't think.
And then on a related note, a few months ago that we talked about Korean Air taking over Asiana in South Korea?
Yeah, we've been talking about it a little bit, right?
Yeah, they needed approval from, I believe it was 14 countries where the two airlines flew.
Yeah.
And I think the important ones have withheld their approval as of now. So instead of the deal being consummated, as it were, by the end of 2021, Korean Air has now stated that the the deadline has been extended to 2024 to try and convince these other countries that this is actually a good move, because they still have to decide how to merge all the LCCs that Korean Air and Asiana operate within South Korea. So all that gave rise to a lot of anti-competitive sentiment among the different countries involved. But how did they not estimate that? How did they not anticipate?
I think sometimes they do, but they you want to see if you can get away with it anyway.
That's true. Yeah.
And if you can, why not?
Yeah, you're right.
Wow. Okay. So that means
we will still see Asiana as a distinct airline for at least the next 2 years.
So that takes care of all the fuss about what was it, One World and Star. Sorry,
yes, because it's a big deal though, this Asiana thing, because remember, United has a pretty tight relationship with Asiana.
Yeah.
Because they're using Seoul as a sort of a stopping point for flights into, let's say, Hong Kong. So with the US withholding approval of the merger, they figured that the US would consider United's interests in preventing the merger. So it's all political, big surprise. And there's a lot of people and a lot of money involved, of course.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because it makes you wonder about what's going on in the back end of all that. Because that happens, right? I mean, we know that happens. It's how it is. So
yep.
There's politics in everything. When it comes to aviation, there's no there's just no it's always there.
So
all right, cool. So the other thing that we had, since we just mentioned SkyTeam and Star, is One World now has 14 members. I think they're
up.
And that's because Alaska Airlines joined them. So someone was saying that one of the things I read is something about this is like a rebirth of the alliances. I'm like, not really.
But if you look at the One World map, with now Alaska added, there's this whole other set of cities that are included now in the One World group.
Yeah.
Most of them in Alaska that most people will never travel to. But I still think it's like, these are fascinating little towns in Alaska. How many people go there is another matter. But
I still need to visit because Alaska, is it the Milk Run it's called? The one that it starts up in I think it goes from Juneau and it makes like 5 stops all the way down to Anchorage.
Okay, I don't know.
Yeah, it's called the Milk Run. I think the flight number is 165 or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. But Alaska is a pretty good partner for them. But then they already were in bed with Americans. So if you were in One World, American had code share, and they just strengthened the code share recently.
Yeah. But the thing is, Alaska also has deals with like Emirates.
Yes.
So what happens there? Is that going to be cut back?
No, I think what happens is a lot of these in these mega online, alliance relationships, you're allowed to keep the partners you already had before.
Okay, it's all very incestuous and very confusing, but
so they're like, you keep them before.
All of them do it.
How you earn miles is very different, and they'll change some of them, and they'll probably get rid of some of them. But it's like Singapore has partners with non-Star Alliance members.
Yeah, but everyone does though, right?
Yeah, they all, because they were
founding partners of Star Alliance have alliances with different.
Well, I mean, United still had a thing with Aer Lingus. And they've had that forever. Matter of fact, they used to have an Aer Lingus that it was a wet lease. It was It was like
I remember that.
it was like
Yes.
Washington Dulles to Dublin or something like that.
Yeah. Was it a A330?
Yeah, it was like
Aer
the
Lingus?
weirdest thing ever.
That's right. Yeah, yeah.
So I mean,
My
airlines.
God, I haven't heard of that for years.
See, I actually flew that. It was it went, and
Yeah, you're right.
thing. It was a United thing. I think as soon as the merger was announced, I'm like, oh, I need to go fly this flight before it goes away. So they
Yeah.
have all these odd relationships that are out there.
And now Aer Lingus is planning to start flights from Manchester in the UK to the US.
Oh, that's interesting.
But that's going to be very interesting.
Yeah,
So,
because they need different permits because they're not EU anymore.
well, not really, right?
Well, yes, no, it's a different.
But
It's not a part of the
no,
EU.
no, no, yeah. No, I understand that. But the EU is not really involved, right?
Well, no. Well, I guess it would be because it's on the Aer Lingus side from Ireland. But then.
Oh, that's right. But that's why they've incorporated in Manchester in the UK.
Yeah,
It's
so
just like North Atlantic Airways, right?
Yeah.
Because Norway is not too happy.
They've all done the incorporation on the UK side, because if they didn't, this whole Brexit thing, people wouldn't be able to fly. So they had to go through all that kind of stuff to make it work in the background. This is stuff that people don't think about. Yeah. So new. So what does that mean if you're in the US? Now you have two one-world carriers, which is American Airlines and Alaska Airlines, and you can get miles, and they already had a relationship there, but it means that now you now have 12 other airlines that you can get miles on when you fly on Alaska. You can choose whichever one.
And it also strengthens Americans' West Coast, US, right? Yeah. Because Seattle and Portland and San Francisco are huge hubs for Alaska.
Yeah, and it gives the mileage. Is it mileage? It's called Mileage Plus, not Mileage Plus. Mileage something. I forget the name of it now.
Yeah.
Those Alaska members now have an opportunity that they can fly to a lot more places. Because they've got they've got Finnair, they've got Royal Jordanian, they've got S7 Airlines. Trying to think of the other ones. So they have quite a bit more flying that they can.
Mileage plan.
There we go. Mileage Plus is United, which used to be called One Pass. I tell you, long story there. And we have one more update. ANA.
In fact, I think we talked about this the last time, did we not?
Yes, I think that was in episode 75.
Yeah. So this was ANA taking a page out of the Singapore Airlines playbook. Because remember, we had spoken about this months ago.
Yeah.
Where SQ turned 2 Airbus 380s that were grounded in Singapore into dining halls, essentially, and opened their first and business class cabins into dining areas, and got a lot of people to pay exorbitant amounts of money to have the privilege of eating on board an A380. So ANA surprisingly did not do that with their 2 A380s, but they did it with a 777-300ER at Haneda. And they had their first date on the 31st of March, which was earlier this week. That was a huge, resounding success.
As expected.
As expected, yeah, because it had sold out in minutes. They got 56 people on board. And what I found quite amazing is that people paid upwards of $500 for a first class meal on board a 777. The business class menu was, I think, around $250 US. And the demand has been so overwhelming that ANA added several more dates in April, and they sold out as well.
Yeah, why are you surprised, Grisha?
$500 for a one meal?
Well, I think you're looking at it as a meal. It's an experience. Remember,
Yes,
these
it's an experience. I granted.
people have not been flying. And so this is just a way for them to do something. So that's why.
I know.
And
How come I don't know any of these people who need to be invited?
Look, they're not going anywhere. They have all this money that they haven't spent for the last year. And these are probably the same
I
people
still think it's incredible.
Yeah,
incredible.
It makes sense that it's sold out. And they're all, anytime, I mean, you haven't seen, none of these airlines have done these and lost money in it.
Apparently not, right? If others keep mimicking that.
Well, but it's that people love to travel. I mean, have you been on YouTube and watch all these videos of people talking about flying in first class?
No.
People love that. People love that stuff. And so if you can get the first class experience without paying the first class price, you're good. I'm with that.
Apparently so.
Yeah,
I think it's wonderful. Wonderful.
If I had the money, I'd definitely do it. All right. So those are the updates that we have.
Yep.
And all right. So we're going to jump into what we had for this week. All right. So from the airline standpoint, Southwest Airlines is in the news. So what did we know all along about Southwest that they finally confirmed?
So this was not a surprise, really, but Southwest did what it never did before, is that it,
money?
well, that too, but it toyed with the prospect of moving away from Boeing as an aircraft supplier, because the CEO made a point, I think very deliberately, of noting that the Airbus 220, which is the new name for the old Bombardier CS series, was a great aircraft, which I'm sure was no mistake or no slip of the tongue, because they wanted to extract the best possible deal out of Boeing. Now, Southwest, I didn't realize this, but they have 462 737-700 series aircraft. This is the stubbier version of the 737-800 aircraft. So it's a smaller aircraft, but with a longer range. So they needed to replace them because a lot of them are getting a bit long in the tooth. And Boeing had this 737-7 MAX 7 aircraft that only WestJet had ordered. So it was floundering a little bit.
Yeah.
And no surprise, but Southwest, after weeks of rumors, they finally pulled the trigger and formally announced the order for 100 of the MAX 7 with options for another 155.
Makes sense.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Given that they have that many Dash 700s in their fleet, I'm sure they will top this up. But what I thought was interesting is that they converted, I believe, 70 MAX 8 orders to the MAX 7.
Okay.
So
which
Southwest
will probably change again.
Yeah, but for most people outside the US, Southwest has been a very, very loyal Boeing customer. In fact, they only fly Boeing 737s for 50 years now, since their inception.
Yeah.
And the surprising part is that they expect 28 new MAX 8 orders this year, and they expect 30 of these brand new MAX 7s in 2022. So Boeing really, really needed customers for these delivery slots for the MAX 7, which has not done very well at all. Yes. Now it's to be seen whether the Southwest order does anything to boost the sales of the MAX 7.
Yeah.
But time will tell, because Southwest has been the launch customer for the Dash 300 of the 737, the Dash 500, the Dash 700, and the MAX 8. So it was, again, not a big surprise that they went with Boeing again.
Yeah. I mean, that was a given. I would never expect them to leave.
So
They just got a super
Yeah.
good deal
Yep.
and gave the
Yep.
aviation community something to talk about.
Yes.
Yeah, I would never expect them to leave. I mean, it's like, yeah, no. I mean, it's like Alaska. They got rid of those. They had. I'm pretty sure they got rid of most of them, not all of the 320s, the Airbus already, right?
Most of them, not all of them.
Yeah. So they're
From
just gonna get
Virgin
rid of those as quickly as they
America. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's so funny when the airlines do the mergers. I'm like, yeah, of course you're gonna get rid of those planes. We know you're gonna get rid of those planes. Duh. Yeah, that
No.
makes all the sense in the world. I'm pretty sure if United could, because Continental is a United only. I mean, a Boeing only. And
Was right.
so yeah, and so if they could have jettisoned all those Airbuses, they would have. But alas, that didn't happen.
Remember, Continental did fly the Airbus 300, right? They had a pretty bad experience with it.
Yeah, that was so long ago, right?
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, someone just flew a A300 from like one of the
Iranian
no, it was Afghan.
Airlines? Oh, Afghan. Okay, yeah. Do they still have those?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, what's it? Josh flew it. I don't know. I can't remember if it was he just debuted it, so I don't know. It might have been last year that he flew it.
Okay. I think Indian Airlines donated one of their A300s to Ariana, if I remember correct.
Yeah, I know the US hasn't flown any since the tail fell off of the one in
Except for UPS, right?
JFK. Yeah, so cargo, but I guess in passenger side.
American and didn't Delta fly it? Oh no, they did the 310.
Delta had the 310. I remember taking a flight when I used to work for them from,
and of course Continental.
Yeah, from JFK to
and Pan Am, right?
Yes, yeah. So that was the state
So,
A300.
yeah.
All right, yeah, dude. Southwest is never leaving. You know how much money it would cost them to switch? Yeah, they're not going anywhere. So JetBlue, what's going on with JetBlue?
So again, a couple of weeks ago, we talked about JetBlue and its aspirations to be sort of like an enterprise company and not just an airline. So they announced on the 25th of March, Paisley. Now, I'm not entirely clear of how Paisley differs from JetBlue Vacations, but I just want to mention it. So I went looking for Paisley because they've specifically marketed it as Paisley, Paisly, not with an E.
No, so it's not Paisley Park.
No, it's not. So according to JetBlue, the name is inspired by the differences among Paisley patterns. So this Paisley, for those of you interested, is sort of like it's like a Sri Lanka shaped or a comma shaped design that comes in various colors and minor adjusted formats, but it symbolizes how travel suggestions on Paisley are unique to each customer and their needs. So let me back up a little bit. What is Paisley? So it is a travel app or a travel portal, I should say, that is not a standalone portal. You have to have a JetBlue PNR, a passenger name record, before you can access it. Because if you type in paisley.com, you get nothing related to JetBlue. But when you go to the JetBlue site, you see Paisley there. And before you can access it, as I said, you have to have a JetBlue booking. So what does it do? It helps customers who purchase a JetBlue flight finish booking the rest of their travel itinerary. So it uses the flight information that you have booked to make targeted suggestions, as they say, for travel companies like hotel stays and car rentals and theme parks. So they have started out with the Avis Budget Group, car rentals, Walt Disney World Resorts, and Universal Orlando. And they plan to add other hotels and vacation rentals and activities and retail purchases and more to come later. This is JetBlue frequent flyers can earn 1 point per eligible dollar spent, and you get 100 points per day if you use a car rental, 200 for the elites on TrueBlue. And again, what I'm confused about is what happens to JetBlue Vacations, which really offers something equivalent. So I'm not clear of the difference now between Paisley and JetBlue Vacations, even though they say the two will be complementary, offering deals on bundled vacations with the best price guarantee.
Okay, I mean, what JetBlue Vacation is just normally
hotels.
It's normally combined. So you can buy air, ground, and hotels together, or whatever the combinations is.
The difference is minor, right? Aren't you cannibalizing one?
No, they're just trying to be upscale. It sounds like that's all they're trying to do.
As I said, I wanted to see what the Paisley update was like, but you can't unless you have.
Yeah, so it's just another way for them to upsell you and manage your reservations.
Right. So, and of course, this of course will get your goat. They've promised not to share your information unless you make a booking or a purchase. But of course, you have to share your information, right? If you're renting a car and a hotel, or going to a resort.
Yeah, they have to say that because all the little laws. They'll just pre-check the box for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like whatever. They're just creating. So the question is now, what happened to the JetBlue app?
It should be included, right? Because it's going to come on the app initially.
But if I don't get it unless I have a JetBlue reservations,
right?
Where do I book my initial reservation? I have to use the app or the website.
Right, that's correct.
Yeah.
So this Paisley is coming to the JetBlue app, but I believe it's not there yet. Oh. It's only on their website, which makes sense, right?
So it's not really an app for your phone.
No, it's not.
It's just
the JetBlue app. This is distinct. To the best of my knowledge to date, there is no specific distinct Paisley app. It's a separate hyperlink within the JetBlue website.
It's just another way for them to upsell you. And they call it something nice because it's JetBlue. They actually, the guy who, I looked up the guy who does their design and stuff for them. I mean, they basically made this guy probably a billionaire. He's the one that designed the look and feel of everything, and the sheet, the pillows, all that.
JetBlue has done a great job at managing its public image, don't you think? In the US, at least, when most people hate airlines.
They have. I mean, I've flown them, and I've always had a good experience. I've never had a bad experience with them.
Have you had a bad experience on other airlines?
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Many.
Okay.
Yeah, I've had my interesting, I was at one major European carrier, and they wouldn't. I had an 8-hour time difference between my flights, and they wouldn't book me on the earlier one. And they had room, and I was a gold member in the frequent flyer thing. So I had all the things that needed to be done, and they wouldn't do it. And they had me, I was in the lounge, and then they go, you need to go talk to somebody. And I talked to somebody in the lounge. Then they say, you need to go talk to an agent at the gate. So I went to the gate. Agent at the gate said, why are you here? I said, well, I know your flight's departing. And I spoke to someone in the lounge, and they said to come talk to you. And they're like, no, you need to call a reservation. Then I call reservation, that, where are you? I'm like, I'm at the airport. They're like, then why are you calling me? Go talk to an agent at the thing. And I said, I already did. And they said to call you. So, and this is a really good airline, really good stuff in flight, but on the ground they suck.
Maybe you needed to be a higher elite member. I don't know.
No, they just need to be, because their own people on the phone were saying, "Why are you calling me?" They're like, "You don't need to call me. They can take care of it to the airport. It's standard, right? I mean, airlines move people to other flights all the
Yeah.
time." But it was fine. I just spent 8 hours on the ground and enjoyed the lounge. So yeah, I've had, maybe one day I should talk about all the crappy experiences I've had in airlines, because I love airlines and I love the airline business, but sometimes you go and you're like, why is it so difficult? You know? So yeah,
So
but JetBlue has been good. I don't think I've not had any bad experiences on JetBlue. Every time I've flown them, they've been good. And I flew them, was it 2019? I flew them quite a bit, at least. I did at least 3 flights with them, which for me on
didn't you once buy one of those unlimited things that they offered in the
I
fall?
did, yeah, yeah. And I was hoping they would do it again. It was the all you can jet, and
Yeah, I
it was a
remember
few
that.
years back, and you could basically you bought this you paid, I forget how much it was you paid for the month, and you could fly anywhere JetBlue flies. But I was working, so I could only fly on weekends. So I would leave like Friday night, and I'd fly, and come back on Sunday. And I went to like Puerto Rico because I hadn't done a bunch of places in Puerto Rico, because much to the chagrin of many, San Juan is not the only place in Puerto Rico. There's like Aguadilla and stuff up the other side. And so I did that. And then I went to like, I don't know, Richmond. And I didn't do some upstate cities, and JetBlue did all those. So I did a lot of those. So they're not bad. I mean, I've not had a bad experience on JetBlue. I
Oh.
still think that they shouldn't be going to, I haven't flown Mint yet. I'm going to try Mint at some point. I do think they should not be going to Europe, but that's a whole other story.
Well, they just got slots at London Heathrow.
Oh, I thought they were going to go to a cheaper airport.
Nope.
Whatever.
Well, they haven't decided yet. They haven't decided
Yeah.
if they're going to do a combination of flights to Gatwick and or Stansted and or Luton and or Heathrow.
No,
But they've
nobody
got
does.
Heathrow slots
Nobody does that. If
because
they
it's going to
wanted,
make it expensive
if they
if they go
exactly,
into Heathrow.
if they wanted slots at any other ones, they could have gotten them. But they wanted Heathrow because
But they
nobody.
do have slots at other airports. They
Well,
do.
then why don't they use them?
Well, they haven't made an announcement yet.
Well,
Saying
exactly.
hard to get.
It's not, yeah, it's they're strategic, they're very, very smart, they're very, very strategic, they know exactly what they're doing.
But you can't fault them for that, can you?
No, I won't fault them for that.
Yeah, because they're flying this brand new XLR, the 321 XLR with this new mint cabin.
Mm-hmm.
So they need business traffic, and that typically goes into Heathrow and not Gatwick, which is more leisure focused.
Did they hear the news flash about business traffic? I'm just saying.
Yeah, but
I think it's a bad
yeah,
move. I mean, granted, when they decided there was no COVID inside,
yes.
and airlines are they're the worst to say, "Oh my God, we made a bad decision. Let's delay it," because they put a lot of stuff into position, and you have to buy these slots.
Yeah, but they have delayed it for a year. But I'm surprised they're still going to go ahead in
Right?
the not too distant
Yeah,
future, though.
exactly. So I'm looking for the cheap fares, and when I find one, I'll buy one, and I'll go. I'm gonna take advantage of it. I'm not stupid, but it'll be quite a job. So no, I have nothing to say bad about JetBlue. I've actually had really good experiences with them. Yeah, and good luck to them trying to go across the Atlantic, because it's tough. Look, EOS, you remember EOS?
Yes.
They tried it, didn't work.
What was the other one also? The
There's
British Airways one?
Oh,
The one from Paris Orly.
yeah, because they folded into
Yeah.
oh God, I can't remember the name of that one, but that one is moved.
Yeah.
It's
Open skies.
Open, yeah, open skies. It's really very difficult. I mean, and there's even there's another one that they just did. What's the purple one? I can't remember. I actually wrote an article about all these planes. So if you go to cruisingaltitude.com, you can find, I try to put a link in here about all these.
I remember there were 2 business class only airlines, right, that flew into Newark at least. There
Yeah.
was EOS and another one.
Well, I guess Open Skies is the other one, because Open Skies.
No, it was another one.
Was there?
Yeah.
Well, I knew Lufthansa did a private air thing as well.
No, that was different.
Um,
That was the Swiss one. The Swiss airline, the 737s. But anyway.
I can't think of who it is. But yeah, it's the transatlantic market is very, very tough. And I don't know why these airlines.
And it's saturated. We keep saying that.
It's tough and it's saturated. And it's very, very difficult to compete. So I'm like, whatever. I wish them good luck, but I think it's a bad decision. And it's like, I'm the only one who's saying that. They were like, what are you crazy? I'm like, well, because, when you've been in the industry long enough, you know what works and what's ego. All right. So we did, oh, dude, it's a really long episode. No, I'm just kidding. When you get on a plane these days, there's something called an IFE, which we know as IFE. You just know that it's a TV in the back of your plane. But it's called in-flight entertainment. And there is actually a lot of decisions that go into that and a lot of deals. So Kusha's going to tell you what's going on with American, and I'll add some insight too. So go ahead, Kusha.
So this was an incredibly interesting article written by the Points guy. I forget what his name is. I want to say it's Zach,
Brian?
but maybe not. O'Brien. Okay. So this was on the 20th of March. And he described how he was given like almost an exclusive look behind the scenes at how American Airlines decides what to offer in its in-flight entertainment selection of movies and TV shows and documentaries and whatever else. So, I mean, it wasn't really a surprise, but it just the whole mechanism of how to get things on board aircraft in time, I found to be very, very fascinating. So, for instance, in mid-March, American was almost ready to present or to have its June IFE offerings ready. So what they do is that months ahead of release on board the aircraft, American coordinates with this company called SPAFAX, which I'm assuming is pronounced as SPAFAX, which is an external content consultant. They do a lot of work for airlines. And this company does what they call a major pre-screen of all offerings in terms of new releases and documentaries from major studios and also small independent outfits for American Airlines consideration based on several criteria. So they select between 5 and 15, as I said, new releases and documentaries. This is for IFE. And each month, the team at American Airlines gets together for a meeting that is several hours long to actually go into review all the documentation that SPAFAX has provided them, looking at the description, the cast, the intensity, as they call it, and any online ratings that are available for these movies. Now, given that American Airlines has an agreement with Apple Music and also a lot of studios to screen movies and documentaries that have not been released for general streaming apps, sometimes they don't have a lot of online ratings available. So they don't have third-party ratings. So it's then based on the executives and employees at the IFE division of American Airlines to decide whether or not it's suitable to screen on board. So a lot of it is very, very subjective. But they believe they have the moxie, if you will, to know what's good for their customers. They say comedies always do well, and they base that on the viewership for TV shows that are already on the IFE menu and also those trending at major streaming providers, like I guess YouTube TV or Sling or whatever. And they also found something very interesting, that something that does not do well at the box office does very well in the air. And the example they gave was the Cats movie, which was the film adaptation of the Broadway musical. Is it Broadway or was it West End?
Broadway.
Okay. That they claimed had much more success in the air than it did on the ground. And they maintained, again, no surprise, just based on my own personal experience, that classics like The Big Bang Theory, Modern Family, and Friends continue to land in the top 5 most watched shows on board aircraft. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
And the rationale they used is that some commercial flops were very popular in the air because it was somebody's opportunity to watch a movie they may have been too embarrassed to watch with their friends and or significant others on the ground, but they have the privacy on board a flight to watch what they wanted without having to feel any shame and or embarrassment.
Apart from the person,
which makes,
what are you watching?
It makes sense though.
Yeah,
it sort of makes sense.
Yeah,
to me at least. So each month, about 30% of Americans' IFE gets updated. And that's out of a total of about 675 hours of content on board an average aircraft. And American has over 800 aircraft to update. So once the IFE team, I know this is getting a little long, but I think it's worth it.
Yeah, it's good.
Once the IFE team at American Airlines decides on the films and or documentary and or shorts that they're going to screen in the future, they give the onus back to Sparfax. And then what Sparfax does is that they upload the raw files that they are provided from the studios into a whole series of IFEs, of screens, because I'm sure most people are aware that screens on board aircraft differ widely depending on what cabin you are on.
Right, they do.
Rather. Or economy, the screens are much smaller, and for business class and premium cabins, they're much bigger, and so on and so forth. So they make sure, first of all, that they are adapted and they show up well on the screens. The subtitles show up. There are no glitches, poster files and all that. And then once all that is screened they have to adhere to American Airlines requirements of showing content. For instance, there will be no plane crashes. There will be no signage for competing airlines. Sex scenes are edited entirely or not completely.
Heavily edited. You basically see they go into the bedroom and then they've finished.
Well, it depends on the airline, though. It depends on the airline.
I've never seen a sex scene in a plane. And
I've seen it on United.
I've seen the shows outside and I'm like, but well, where's the rest of it? Yeah.
And also, for instance, pork or pigs, because that's a sensitive issue for the Jews and the Muslims. So based on all those criteria, Sparfax essentially edits the movie and then distributes several flash drives to all the American Airlines hubs and focus cities. And then over 10 to 15 days of the prior month, these physically upload these files onto the servers on board aircraft.
It's 2021. They need to fix that.
Well, hold on, let me finish. The system then takes over and automatically includes these offerings for use on the 1st of every month. Now, a lot of the American Airlines aircraft are now equipped with this Viasat entertainment system.
Mm-hmm.
And now, for those aircraft, typically the 787s and the 777s, that gets automatically updated wirelessly. But they also have to respect American Airlines' push for diversity, and especially for heritage months like Women's History or Black History or LGBTQ Pride and all that sort of thing. So every month is a little bit different for the airline. They also look at a lot of comments on social media, and they do a survey of post-flight downloads. And what
Flight
else?
downloads, what does that mean?
Say that again? Because they analyze for every flight what were the popular options that were viewed by passengers, which makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Which makes sense. So I just thought this was such an interesting article. Yes, you sort of had an idea that a lot of work was involved when you get down to the specifics. I think it would be a tremendously interesting job to have.
Not really. I used to work with a person on my old job. It gets boring because
Really?
basically,
Okay.
your job is to watch the movies.
Yeah. But for those people who enjoy watching movies,
well, yeah, but there are a lot of movies. Like,
yeah, I know. I understand that.
yeah, and it's so I used to help on the other side of that. So I would be the person who go and update, get all the stuff for the website. Because we used to list all the movies that are showing on the web on the website, which they still do. But I would work closely with and at Continental it was one person. So
is that right?
Yep, it was one person, and it was interesting that they have like a whole team of people to do all that stuff. Yeah, and every time, and they would send us a file, and the file would have all the all the information that we can put on the website. So that's how I was like, oh, that's intriguing how they do it. Now, one thing I did find out, and I don't know if the article mentioned it, I don't know if it's still the case. They pay based on the number of seats, not the number of watches.
What do you mean by that?
So if you have 200 seats on the plane,
right,
you pay for 200 views, even though.
But they pay who? Who pays who?
Well, you have to pay the company that's giving you all the. You have to pay the royalty on whatever you're watching.
Yes,
so,
yes.
So that's what American would pay. So Sparfox is just a company, if I'm saying that right. It's just a company that puts all the content together based on the specs.
But that's crucial, right?
It is crucial, but
because they're the initial screeners.
Yeah, and see, at my former position, we were the screeners because we would edit and we would tell them what we need, and then they go.
But would there be enough time in the day to do that?
That's their job. But it was just the big movies that came in. And also they had special movies that they couldn't show because back then you had screens, right? You had the big screens.
Yeah.
Main cabin. So you had specific movies that you could show in main cabin as opposed to the ones you could show on the smaller screen because like you said, you have
that's true.
Smaller screens. Yeah. And so you could watch.
But those were that's right, because those were just 1 or 2 movies per flight. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah. So those had to be specific movies. And then you had like, here are the movies that are domestic, here are the ones that are international.
Yeah.
Here's the one that are South America, because South America had different movies than when you're into Europe. So it was actually very, very interesting how they did that.
Yeah.
So it's
because they also mentioned that American is about to start flights to Tel Aviv in Israel.
Yeah.
So they were going to start incorporating more Hebrew movies and also more information and material with an Israel content.
Yeah, and sometimes I mean, because I used to work closely with the IFE person, whenever I get on a plane, sometimes you notice that the what you call that text at the bottom?
Subtitles.
The subtitles are cut off.
Okay.
It's sometimes too low, and so you're seeing half of the words and you can't do the subtitles.
Okay.
And oftentimes when I fly, I will watch the subtitles because I like to watch Asian movies, and
Okay.
they're all subtitled. And
Yeah.
and all the airlines have different. They do everything differently, and they show different genres,
Mm-hmm.
which is why I always like
Yep.
to fly international airlines because I get to see so much other movie than the
Yeah. The
one.
documentaries are
The other
what
thing
are
too,
different.
I don't know if you've noticed it, there is a sequence which everything is so out of whack now with COVID, because normally the movie would go to the cinema, and once it gets to, it would actually get on the airplane before it goes to, well, I guess I was going to say videotape, but I'm dating myself, right? But
Yeah.
the airlines would get it before it goes to a general release,
Right.
so basically available on all the streaming services and stuff like that.
Because American has a deal, did I mention this, with Apple TV?
Yeah.
So they get a lot of the content before it is available to,
Yeah. And I wonder now that you have Amazon, it's totally different now because you've got Disney, you've got
Paramount, right?
Hulu,
Right.
you got Apple TV, and so you have all that kind of
Yep.
stuff. Then
Yep.
yeah, it's very interesting how different that is.
So
yeah, good. That's a
but
good.
no, it was a really interesting article.
Yeah.
As I said, it was on the Points guy. It was on March 20th.
Cool. Which is not necessarily written by, I don't even think Brian writes anything more for it. Most
Okay.
of those comes out of
He did talk about me, like me as an I. So it was in the singular. So I'm assuming he was the one who was given the I could be wrong.
Yeah,
but...
normally he doesn't write a lot of those articles.
Okay.
He has writers, and it's funny when you look at it at the right under the Points Guy banner, it is usually say the writer or at the bottom.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did see that, and
because it's normally,
but I don't remember the name.
It's normally somebody else who writes it. All right. Where are we? British Airways.
Dare I ask about the time? I've lost track. I don't even remember when we started.
We're getting to 2 hours now, but that's because we.
No. That cannot be true. Can it?
Yeah. But it's only because we started. That's since we started.
Anyway.
All right.
So you wanted to
go ahead.
End this or?
No. We got 2 more. We got 2 more on the air.
Okay. All right.
So British Airways, we talked about. So last week we talked about ANA following Singapore for the in-flight meal thing.
Yeah.
Kushal thinks it's too expensive. And so now I said to Manon, I'm like, dude, look, British Airways is doing the same thing. So give us some details on that.
Not cheap either. But
it can't be. They have to make money, Kushal.
I know that. And
it's still cheap. It's still cheap.
Will you adopt me if you think this is cheap?
Oh, come on.
So
how much? Okay, tell us how much it is.
Okay. So British Airways has been very active in doing a lot of these very unique sort of things to raise money in this pandemic era.
Got to, right?
Yep. And we've talked about them at length over the past year. So the new thing they've started is that they are now selling takeaway meals, 4-course meals, as they call it, experience first-class dining at home with a travel-inspired recipe box with first-class menus and ingredients. So they have partnered with a delivery company called Feastbox in the UK, and the caterer Dough & Co. Now, this is a big airline catering company based in Austria. And they also work with Nespresso and also with airlines like Turkish Airlines to manage their lounges. but they have now offering these four-course meals for 80 pounds, which is about 110 US dollars for the pasta entree, and 100 pounds or about 135, 140 US dollars for, as they call it, beef cheeks in port wine juice. So I had to look up what juice was. And that is apparently a sauce that is based on a meat juice. So it's a flavored meat juice. So they have, as I said, it's a four-course meal. The starter is lock fine shredded salmon timbal. I had to look up what that was as well. And that's a flaky, creamy pastry baked dish. So it's a Scottish smoked salmon dish. There's, of course, the entree. The dessert is dark chocolate, orange liqueur, bread and butter pudding. For those of us who grew up with this, it's quite nice, with vanilla sauce.
Okay.
And they also have 4 choices of English and Welsh cheeses that are included with crackers. So this is not a frozen entree. So all the ingredients come pre-prepared, but you actually have to put them together.
Oh, okay.
And it's very similar to what I know we have here in the US. I couldn't tell you the exact companies that do this, but you know what I mean, right? They supply you all the ingredients and all you have to do is assemble it for the meal.
Yeah.
So it takes between 45 and 50 minutes to prepare. But the one good thing about this is that you get a voucher for 10% off a British Airways flight, a round-trip BA flight, worth more than 275 pounds, which is about 380 US dollars. So any long-haul departure or any long-haul booking more than pays for this, because the price of the meal is about the price on the departure taxes for a long-haul economy class flight out of London Heathrow. Or you could get a round-trip Heathrow Venice flight, including a snack and water for the same price.
Yeah, but I guess the vouchers expire after a year, right?
Yeah, but I mean, you would expect that you would make a booking within a year. Right? So it launched the week
In
of
these
March.
days, no.
So this launches the week of March 29th. And for the first week of service, which is like now, you get a free bottle of what is called Hattingley Valley English sparkling wine for free, which is apparently exclusive to BA and served to first-class passengers. They have 500 kits, these food kits available in the first week. And they made a point of noting that all the packaging, the outer and the interior, is recyclable, compostable, and biodegradable. And most of the food is sourced from the UK and Ireland, so they don't have a lot of transport involved.
Okay.
You can order this at feastbox.co.uk/collections/British Airways. You have 4 choices: the smoked salmon with either beef cheeks and or handmade agnolotti, which is essentially a ravioli. You have a whole grain salad and beef cheeks, or whole grain salad with the agnolotti. So far, it's a sort of a limited meal option, but it has apparently met with a lot of success. Again, not a big surprise, and much more affordable than dining on board an ANA 777, but still pricey, at least in my book.
There's no Asian food involved.
There's no Asian food, no.
Exactly. You can also go, if you go to britishairways.com/feastbox, you can get to it.
So,
but it does tell you that the offer is not available in your country.
Okay, it's only in the UK. I
Yes,
believe.
but if you go to britishairways.com/feespot,
Okay.
enjoy our inflight dining experience in the air next time with your 10% discount,
Mm.
which is interesting.
Yeah, but it's only one per customer. So if you do multiple orders, you only get one 10% discount.
So here's my thing with these offers, right? And the marketing people, they always make it sour. Like they go in and really good offer, really good stuff, and you have all these dumb restrictions. Just let people get what they want. You're not losing 10%. You are gaining a customer, right? And plus you have breakage in that thing anyway. And so, not
Yeah.
everybody who buy it is going to care, right?
Yes.
Not
Or
everybody's
it's going to use that 10% discount.
yeah. So don't come with it all, oh, it's only restricted to this and all that. It's like, no, just let people go. Just let people enjoy it. Because you know what's going to happen. Somebody's going to go, oh, and then there's some agent on the phone is going to be like, well, it's the discount is not available. So now you've had a really nice customer with a really nice meal, really nice experience, and now they can't get their 10% discount, and then they think BS. So it's I don't know why the airlines don't learn this. Silly. You're always trying to nickel and dime your customers. Stop it. So it's a good offer. I mean,
Not my ideal menu. I know people are going to get mad if they even care.
no, it's not my type of food either. If that Jamaican food now, then yes.
But British Airways, of all people, all airlines should have included other choices like Asian.
I don't know. Maybe they don't have a diversity consultant on their staff. As much as this is
So-
okay, they don't think that way. That's so funny. All right. These people just don't think.
Well, they did think. They just didn't think far enough. Maybe, in our subjective opinion.
No, it's like they just don't. You really have, especially in these days, you really have to think about that. I mean, it's like, I don't know. It's just really.
But maybe they were targeting a different audience, right? Who don't like non-British food. I don't know. Which is odd for British Airways, which is what the world's favorite airline, according to their own tagline.
So they should have thought about having other foods that.
Maybe it'll come later. Maybe.
Well, no, I can't tell because the website says it's not available for me.
That's just like the NA thing, though, right? Remember, I wanted to see what was available.
Domestic, yeah. That's quite funny. I mean, it makes sense, right? Because they can't deliver it to me. But again, one of the things that these airlines forget about is, don't be stupid. What if I wanted to buy this for a friend in the UK? Then you can't let me do it. So you could structure it so that I can see it and I can buy it. But the delivery address, of course, has to be in the UK, right?
In the UK, yeah.
But don't stop me from giving you money. Just don't think. Because you know what it is, they're like, oh, we get enough. We're gonna get enough from the UK people anyway, because the UK is on lockdown. Everybody wants to travel.
Yeah.
Okay.
But good on BA for trying this.
Yeah, no, I mean, pay anything to get a little money into the door. By the way, what are they gonna do?
If they want me to sample it, I am more than willing.
I'm sorry, you have to get to the UK. But,
this is true.
But
moving ahead,
maybe they won't let you have the quarantine if you go.
That's true. Yes.
If they change their rules. It was so funny. I keep saying when I read the CDC thing, I'm like, well, nobody was quarantined anyway.
Okay, TikTok time.
It's okay.
We're on a time.
No, we could talk forever, Kishore. No, just kidding. All right, so we got one more in the airline scope, and
so which one is this?
Finnair, because I have my Finland National Theater in the background there. God, I think I was with you, Kush. It was 25 degrees when we went to Helsinki. It was too cold. But anyway, what are they doing in terms of a Nordic airframe manufacturer? Is there such a thing?
Yes, yes, there is. And I had no idea till I read this article.
Yeah.
And this was on the Finnair, the company, the media news on the 25th of March. So Finnair signed a letter of intent, which is typical when airlines order new aircraft,
Yeah.
with an aircraft called the ES-19, which is actually a rather good-looking four-engined electric prop aircraft. Just to give you an idea of what it looks like a Dash 7. I don't know if you remember what that is. Dash 7 was a four-engined de Havilland aircraft, but it also looks like an ATR, but with a 787 style nose and with winglets on the wings.
Oh.
It actually looks quite sharp, I think.
Well, if you copied all the nice things from every other plane, yes.
But it's a 19-seat electric aircraft that is being manufactured by a Gothenburg, Sweden-based manufacturer called Hart Aerospace. That's not a very inspiring name, but maybe that's just me. So they want to buy 20 of these planes for use on their short-haul services within Finland. The aircraft, this is the surprising bit. The aircraft is expected to be available for commercial flights in 2026, which is really not that far away. And it has a range of about 400 kilometers. So it's about 250 miles.
Oh, okay.
So it's part of Finnair's commitment to halve its emissions, its carbon dioxide emissions by 2025 and become carbon neutral in 2045. And the way they want to do this is with improved fuel efficiency, reduced aircraft weight, combining modes of transport, emissions exchange, and sustainable aviation fuels. The interesting part about this is that this is the first international interest this manufacturer has received, because already SAS, Videra, and Brathens have signaled interest in purchasing this aircraft.
Okay, that makes
So
sense.
Finland becomes the first foreign prospective client.
Foreign, but they're all Nordic. So what do you mean
They're
foreign?
all Nordic, yes.
Yeah, it's the Nords have to protect the Nords. That's how it works.
But it really is a good-looking plane, I think.
Yeah, I have to try to
It's
find
the ES-19 from Hart Aerospace.
What's it called?
The ES-19.
ES-19. Okay.
Yeah, from Hart Aerospace.
Everybody's making a plane now.
Yes, yes.
That's very cool.
So.
All righty. All right, Kusha. At some point, we're gonna have to go flying, you know.
I know.
Now
all right. So are we done for this episode?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, wait, no. I got some feedback. Let me find my buddy sent some stuff. Okay, he says, in episode 72, we talked about that Qantas was doing surprise flights. And he says our travel agency had a similar thing. Instead of buying a package vacation in Cuba, Rhine Valley, or Vietnam, you could purchase a surprise vacation.
Where was this based? Where was this out of?
In Canada. Okay. Yeah, they would pick the number of days you want to go and hope they don't take you to Davenport, Iowa. So that's kind of cool that kind of concept has been out there for a little while. And he sent another.
But they have to tell you, right, to pack and dress appropriately.
Well, yeah, but
Okay.
if it's a complete surprise, then you're just like, yeah, okay, just tell me what documents I need. Tell me how to dress, and how much money I bring, and let's go. There was
Oh, that's a good idea.
it is, right? So he sent me a link to it. This is,
Uh,
and I probably should have looked at it before that you wouldn't be able to look it up. This
Of
one
course.
talks about runway dining at $540 a meal, proving a hit in Japan.
Oh, that's the ANA one.
It is the NA one, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So that's too funny. So but we'll go $540. That's not a bad deal. And of course, they show a kid in the first class seat eating a meal.
Yes, I saw that. I saw that.
Oh,
Yes.
that's too funny. So Kush, it's not a bad thing.
No, I'm saying it's a bad thing.
No, $540 to sit in a first class seat. It costs that much just to clean the seat.
Probably.
With all the stuff that they have, all the chemicals they have to use in the plane, right? And this reminds me when I saw this thing. You were talking about American,
the
looking at
IFE.
movies first before they go into the IFE.
No.
Up in the Air. I never saw Up in the Air until.
What is Up in the Air?
So that's the movie with George Clooney, where he flies all over the place and he fires people. That's his job. And so
yes, I saw that.
Well, the airline that he was flying in was American, and so none of the other airlines had it because.
No, that's not true because I saw it on board.
Did you?
Yes, I saw it on board.
I did not see it on board. I know United never had it, at least for a long while.
No, I saw it on board.
Yeah, because I wanted to see it, and it took me long. Every plane I went on, they never had it except on American because it was actually all about American Airlines. So I was surprised you actually saw it on an airplane.
See, but that's a movie that I watched on board that I never would have gone to in a theater.
Well, right, but I think I saw it on. It wasn't Netflix. It was some other streaming.
Okay. No, I know I saw it on board.
Yeah, because I couldn't find it on a plane except American.
Okay.
Maybe you were flying American.
No, I don't think so.
Because the reason why the other airlines wouldn't show it because it's an American Airlines commercial. In essence.
But I didn't even.
Oh yeah, it was
apparently was not the target audience because I missed that completely.
How could you have missed that, Christian? That was the whole point of the movie that he was.
See, I'm amazed at all these people who remember lines from movies. I couldn't even tell you one line from a movie I watched yesterday.
But if it's something like this, I'm like, yes, come on. The biggest line I remember from a movie is that it's a mad world. You ever seen that?
Okay. Ages and ages ago.
Oh, it's such a good movie. So my best scene in this movie is when the guy dies at the beginning. I'm giving it away, but anyway, it's an old movie. It's been around. Spencer Tracy, Ethel Merman, Mickey Rooney, etc.
Okay.
And in the beginning, which is what kicks off the story, this guy dies, and they're like, "He's not dead yet. He hasn't kicked the bucket." And then they showed you his foot, and he kicked the bucket, and then he died.
You remember this movie called If It's Tuesday, This Must Be Belgium?
No, I have not seen that movie.
Why I thought of that all of a sudden.
But there was Tuesdays with Maury.
I never heard of that. Is that?
That was actually a really sad movie. I think it was a lady who was went and I'm gonna say the wrong premise now.
Okay, we're getting hopelessly distracted here.
Yeah, but it's a good distraction because what we should do, we should dedicate one episode to airplane movies or movies.
I would be a bad choice for that.
Oh no, dude, really?
Yeah.
What's your favorite movie with an airplane?
I couldn't tell you.
Really?
No, I couldn't tell you.
Oh, dude, my favorite, since you don't have one, my favorite is the I was thinking Planes, Trains, and Automobile.
I don't know if I've seen that.
You've not, Kusha. All right.
I know that's an old movie.
I
don't watch a lot of movies, honestly. I only see movies on planes.
Well, that's a good one.
Yeah, but I can.
Andy and what's the name of the dude with the gray hair? Steve.
Don't look at me.
Steve. Oh my God, I can't remember his name now. Steve Martin. Thank you.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're both in that movie, and it's set around Christmas, and it's about airplanes getting canceled. And they literally took planes, trains, and automobiles. You need to watch that movie, Kishore. That's your assignment, so we can talk about it.
Okay.
It is
All
fun.
right.
Like, it is funny beyond like funny. But anyway, we digress, and I'm blabbing again. So thank you guys for listening to episode 76, right? And remember, we are on we're everywhere. So just check us. But we need your review, we need your comments. Please send your comments in and let us know how we're doing. And also, and I know you're downloading the episodes because I can see the numbers. And since I'm not hearing anything, that means that we're doing okay. Because I know if we weren't doing okay, you would tell me that we're sucking, but I guess we're not. So thank you guys for listening. We appreciate that. And I'm signing off with my buddy.
For sure.
Have a good one.